Caddyshack was our movie of choice last night. Jay, you had not seen it in a long time or had not seen it, if I remember right?
I had not seen it in years.
Okay, and it's from 82?
80.
80, okay.
40 years old is Caddyshack.
So it's a 40-year-old movie. It has always been deemed a classic. It's the movie I put in the pool, and my wife watched it with me. I'll share what her opinion was of the movie. Dave, initial thoughts of rewatching Caddyshack?
So sometimes we go into things and then we come out of them with completely different questions than we had before. I went in wondering if the movie would stand up. It does. I went in wondering if it was still funny. It is. I went in wondering if a lot of my love for the movie would be nostalgia. I'm not as big a Caddyshack guy as a lot of people are, but I do love the movie and I do think it's hilarious. What I ended up coming out of the movie being obsessed with, and I'd love to talk to you about it later, where does I'm All Right rank on the list of greatest Kenny Rogers soundtrack songs?
Kenny Loggins?
What did I say? Oh, God, I got Kenny Rogers on my mind.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Kenny Loggins. Where does that rank? Because Kenny Loggins is the king of the movie soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I'm only asking because I think I'm All Right is like I forgot how great that song is. Awesome, dude. I could play that if I was still going into work. I could play that on the way to work every morning and be like, yeah, I'm ready for the day. And we just kind of forget about it. That's what I came out with. Kenny Loggins.
It's behind Danger Zone.
Is Danger Zone behind Footloose?
Yes, it's behind Footloose as well.
Is Danger Zone and Footloose behind Meet Me Halfway?
Yeah. No. Meet Me Halfway is behind that.
Is Playing with the Boys like the quintessential Kenny Loggins soundtrack record?
The video of that is an all-timer, by the way.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Here's a controversial. Oh, yes, it is, by the way. I agree with Jason.
Yeah.
Here's a controversial one. Better Kenny Loggins Caddyshack song, I'm All Right or Nobody's Fool?
I'm All Right.
Yeah, I'm all right.
See, I think it's Nobody's Fool. I love that song. I love that song so much. It's like arguably my favorite Kenny Loggins song. It's a great song.
But you thought overall, though, that the movie held up.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Listen, it's 1980, so it was late 70s, and it's just fun to see like Bill Murray, who's like so accomplished, such a great actor now. He's an American comedic icon and has also done some serious stuff. But to see him back, then it was almost like it reminded me of Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura's Now. When you look at what Jim's done. Kind of similar. Like Bill Murray was just that was really the breakout for him, and you had Stripes, and you went on. He went on to do so much. It stood out. It stood up, I should say, and I remembered why that movie was so over the top funny. To me, there is no doubt. Bill Murray's character was great. Rodney Dangerfield was awesome. Judge Smails was amazing. Chevy Chase just owns that movie.
Yes.
He owns it.
Thank you. Because to me, I'm a huge fan of his. I just like his style of comedy. So subtle, and that's why on rewatching it, he doesn't have a bunch of the killer lines, but you just have to... I mean, even just that clip we played, it's subtlety. It's not over-the-top slapstick. It's funny. And I like, even when he's back at his place with Judge Smails' niece, and he's preparing a drink, and, he's filling up extra bottles of Perrier and subtly mixing them together and then fakes like the cap came. There's little, whoa, hey, how'd that happen? And just he's very subtle, but yet I think he's very, very funny.
I just put this together because I know you do have a soft spot for Chevy Chase. I know you're like Fletch guy.
Yes, for sure.
And you know why? Because I think that's exactly your style of humor, Jason. I've never really thought about that before. You and Chevy Chase have the same style of humor. You're not quantity, you're quality, and both of you are really good at finding the nooks and crannies of the conversation to get in a line where dumbasses like me are talking all over the place. You'll say one thing and it will drop everybody. Chevy Chase was the same way. Like, he's not slapstick. Like you say, he's not over the top. I'm sitting there and I'm enthralled with no. All I have to do is go no. Everybody knows what I'm doing. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know the exact scene. That's the power of peak Chevy Chase.
Yeah, I think he told her when he, like, just again, stuff I wouldn't have remembered watching it last night. So she arrives at the place. Oh, can I get you a drink? You know, a tuna colada. Like, what is that? But I mean, I go, what is a tuna colada? I mean, just little things that he makes up that, and you know, he keeps calling him Betty or Danny or Jimmy. You know, wrong names, and he's just so whimsical like that way. Just flows with it.
One of my favorite comedies, I'd say under the radar, but I think enough people know what I'm talking about. One of my favorite comedies is Real Genius with Val Kilmer and a host of others. I am to this day convinced that Val Kilmer's character he played in Real Genius, he studied Chevy Chase's character in Caddyshack to pick up some of his comedic cues. And I think if you go back and you watch both movies and you see how Val Kilmer was very mixing up people's names, he was always goofy. He'd say something weird just out of the blue. He'd always have a great comeback, but yet was also had this, and same thing with Chevy in this movie, had an aura of cool about, just the coolest cat in the room at all times. I found similarities between those two roles very much, and I'll bet you Chevy influenced a lot more roles like that we're not even thinking about from that movie.
I think one of the times he sees her at the banquet function, whatever that is, they're in the black tie, and she sees him from across the room, and he smiles, and smoke comes out. Or like, it just, I go, I bet he just added that. Like, let's just do an extra little just nod to this character. And you're right. He just, to me, epitomizes cool in the movie. And how about Ted Knight? I think his angry Judge Smales role, he's the perfect guy to agitate.
He was perfectly cast. And you have to give a shout out to the casting in this movie. Who else but Rodney Dangerfield? Who else but Ted Knight? Who else but Chevy Chase could have pulled these roles off? Who else but Bill Murray? And when you read also, if you have a moment today, take a deep dive and read about Caddyshack and all the things that have come from it, and all, like the master scene, the Cinderella story with Bill, almost completely improv, almost 100% improv. They've opened Bill Murray and his brothers. You know, Brian Doyle Murray basically wrote the whole dang movie with help from a couple other guys. They've got several Caddyshack themed restaurants that they've opened. And one thing that I read about that is absolutely zero surprise in retrospect is that there's a real good argument to be made that the most valuable player in the entire movie was a ton of cocaine. You read about the filming of this movie, and apparently it was all over the place during the filming of the movie. Like, just there for the taking. And then you go back and you watch the movie, and you're like, you know what? Yeah.
I believe it.
Wow, those were the early 80s. Good for you guys. Okay. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Did Danny do anything else? I don't remember him in anything else.
I don't remember him doing Michael O'Keefe. He was Ben Meacham in The Great Santini.
Love that movie.
He received a nomination for Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. That was a 1979 drama, and then he played Fred. Of course, it was Fred on the TV show Roseanne.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Want to take a guess as to how old Danny is?
Oh, no.
Apparently
60.
64.
Wow.
Would you like, and one more, how about the most you'll never guess? Michael O'Keefe, who played Danny Noonan in Caddyshack, has been married twice. He was married to this singer for 8 years. They divorced in 1999. You're not going to get it unless you already knew, so why don't you give me a guess?
I already know, so Jason, go ahead.
Gosh, give me somewhat of a hint.
I'll tell you what. When they got married, it gave people something to talk about. That's for sure.
Bonnie Raitt?
Yep.
Wow.
Bonnie Raitt and Danny Noonan were married for 8 years.
No way would I have known that.
No, I just found it out 2 seconds ago.
Wow.
No way. He has been a practicing Zen Buddhist
Yeah.
since 1981.
No. Jay, your thoughts on the movie? You had not seen it in probably longer than Dave and I.
I thought for sure this movie would not hold up at all. I didn't think I would find it funny. It's a 40-year-old movie, and we were talking about this before the show. A lot of times with comedies, you have to put yourself in the time period that it happened because comedy changes so much, and I was not around in 1980. I did, however, find the movie to be very entertaining. I think Rodney Dangerfield does not get enough credit for his role in the movie. I thought Rodney Dangerfield was fantastic. The other thing that really stuck out to me that I did not realize until, I started doing some research on the movie, and it kind of made me sad because he's one of my favorite actors. This was the directorial debut of Harold Ramis. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I did not know that until I, just did some diving on it. I was like, wow. Harold Ramis directed this movie. This is the first movie he directed back in 1980. And Harold Ramis, to me, is just a legend in the industry.
For sure.
He is severely missed. I think he is one of the more underrated actors we've ever had. And the fact that he was the director of this movie, first of all, I didn't even realize that. And then the fact that this was his debut, it kind of stunned me.
Yeah. So you brought this guy up. So my wife had never seen it. So this is when we've talked. I go, you've got to see this at some point. So we watched it, and this character, Jay, you brought up, definitely made her laugh.
And tell the cook this is low-grade dog food, all right? This steak still has marks where the jockey was hitting it. Oh, somebody stepping a duck? All right, you must have been something before electricity, huh? Oh, wonderful boy. Nice boy, all right. He's a good boy, I'll tell you. Now I know why tigers eat their young. Well, the last time I saw a mouth like that, I had a hook in it. Hey, you want to make $14 the hard way?
He was over the top. I think that character is still funny. And just, again, back to agitating Judge Smales, he was perfect at that. So Rodney Dangerfield really got her. It was funny, the pool scene with the famous, Baby Ruth and whatever.
Yes.
That finished, and she goes, boy, I bet that got a big laugh back then. I go, yeah, it did. But that one didn't make her laugh at all.
No.
Not today, present day, but that was a big scene back then.
Yeah, it was a huge scene. It was that scene spawned so many Baby Ruths and pools across America. That was like the ultimate prank that people would play.
So
it is so gross. But imagine you go to somebody pulled that at Carmichael Park when I was 11 years old. They did the same thing. They just tossed a baby in the pool, and everybody freaked out. And lifeguards got it. Imagine being the lifeguard. You're some 17-year-old kid. You're getting paid minimum wage, and you got to dive into the pool and investigate whether or not it's a turd or a candy bar. That's because of Caddyshack.
Yeah, and I the one character that I kind of remembered, and then after I watched it last night, I don't really understand why they have Maggie in the movie. His interest that, I don't know where she's from, Ireland or something, but he just, I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of a quick love interest. She might be pregnant. She's not pregnant. And he's flirting around with the judge's daughter, too. It's just, I don't know where that seemed like a unfinished story.
I'm with you. Maggie was just kind of a wasted character, but a lot of it too was, and I think that's part of the problem with making movies. You don't know when you're writing and making it how it's going to be received, and I think when the movie came out and hit theaters, and then developed the following it does, I don't know that anybody could have anticipated the dominance of Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, and just think Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, and Rodney Dangerfield alone. And yes, there were other major characters in this, but just the three. How the hell do you try to stand out when you've got those three circling around? That was three pantheon comedic performances all in this. And then you're right, guys like Ted Knight played it perfectly, Danny Noonan, but that holy triad of Dangerfield and Chevy Chase and Bill Murray. How do you duplicate that? You can't.
Yeah, and then for anybody that's golfed and watched that movie, you said it earlier, Dave, about thinking about going dun-dun-dun-dun-dun when you're putting. Someone else said that on the text line. I mentioned to my wife yesterday. I said that's why I say when I hit the ball in the water, went in the lumberyard. Things like that, or that's a peach, hun. I mean, just certain things that you can quote from that movie that people still quote to this day on the golf course.
Is Caddyshack the most quotable sports movie? And if not, I wonder what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. I mean, there's certain things that are just in the fabric of what we do now, just based on that movie, I think. I think so. It's got to be up there as one of the all-timers as far as that goes.
I think so. Jay, where would you put it?
As far as the quotables or overall? Or are we doing an overall list?
Well, I was just asking quotable. Because I'm seeing on the text line somebody just simply texted in all caps, "Duty," and there you go. That's the Baby Ruth. Yeah. I know exactly where that's from.
I would have to really rack my brain to see what I think is the most quotable, because I think that's subjective to whatever your favorite movie probably is.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, real quick,
that's true.
Do you guys care to guess the age of Chevy Chase?
Oh God, I'm gonna say 74.
Wow, in my head I had 73.
76. He'll be 77 this year.
Okay.
Man.
That's crazy to me.
Is it weird that like thinking of that in Caddyshack terms, oh my gosh, that's really surprising. But compared to some of the other people that like Daryl Hall being 73 or whatever,
right.
I don't know. Seeing Chevy Chase over the last 5 years, I'm like, I would believe he's 81.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, and Bill Murray's 69.
Yeah, I mean those guys were on SNL way back when. Yeah.